everybody, it's Miss Smith. I was one of Harrison's middle school band teachers.
I mean, it's so hard to begin because he was such an incredible person.
Harrison was such an amazing person, and no one else ever is going to be able to come close to comparing to him.
He was a character.
Describing Harrison in anything less than 100-page academic journal is quite frankly impossible.
And it's hard to imagine doing this without him, playing music and going to class and every day in history when the seat beside me is empty, and when I hit high D's in jazz band and he's not there to turn around and be mad at me.
I had to unfollow him on Facebook because he posted stuff that really annoyed me.
I think that the best way to describe Harrison is a combination of honest and passionate.
There are so many amazing things I'll miss about Harrison.
I mean, he was so smart. And I mean, to say that is a mild understatement. He knew everything.
The most describable is he was Harrison. And if you ever met him for more than 5 minutes, you knew exactly what that means.
And he pushed you to want to do your best.
He'd tell you anything that he had in his mind, regardless of whether or not you wanted to hear it, and he was pretty likely that he was going to be right, too.
He was one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life, or will meet in my entire life.
He was outrageously intelligent and unbelievably caring to everyone.
Was the type of man who would walk up to you and tell you that you were wrong, and then prove to you that you were wrong. Not because he wanted to hurt your feelings or because he got some sick joy in proving others wrong, but because he was honestly trying to make you better as a person. Because he thought everyone would want to be right.
I actually met him when he was a 6th grader at Porter. I was helping with the Red Wave rehearsals, and he was one of the students randomly selected to play the UM fight song, which was the Mac Daddy of their playing tests. And he nailed it! First rehearsal! I mean, right then I knew this kid was special, not even because the other 250 kids had to pick up their jaw off the floor, but I had to pick mine up too.
He was the best musician, I think, in the whole band. Light years ahead of me, I'm sure.
Just having him around just always brightened my day. He is one of the people that just can make me laugh no matter what, no matter how I was feeling.
He didn't talk very much, but when he did, it was pretty well thought out. And he said some stuff that would make you think for a really long time. And you still wouldn't have any idea what he was talking about.
Not only did he have great hair, this kid could play the sax.
I remember this one time in middle school in 8th grade, we were commissioning a Footloose piece that was an alto saxophone feature. And Harrison and I decided that we were going to split the solo in half and kind of share it. And we'd practiced it that way for a while. I played the first half and he played the second half. And after a while, he went up to Miss Smith and decided that he wanted to play all of it. And while 8th grade me was really upset and didn't think that was fair, I look back at that now and just the self-advocacy he had for himself was so admirable, and he wasn't afraid to say what he wanted. And I wish I am going to be able to do that someday, because Lord knows I can't right now.
I've written a lot of stuff on my arms in Sharpie because it was hard to comprehend that I could hurt so much, but I had nothing visible.
From his friends to his bandmates to just his acquaintances, Harrison loved people. Granted, he had to know you first, and getting to know Harrison could be pretty hard. You had to make the conscious decision that you were going to make him your friend. And more often than not, you did.
I will miss just how fun it was to be around such an amazing musician, because just having not only the fact that he was just so like technically talented, but he just like his personality about music and how serious and dedicated he was to it just brought up the entire group. And you really need people like that in a group to make like things like jazz bands and brass bands work, and he was definitely one of the core people that knew how to make us all better, and he constantly made us all better, and I will forever be thankful for that.
He was absolutely the bedrock of the brass band, and that's one of the things I'm most thankful for, because my senior year would have been so much more empty without the band and the people in it, and that couldn't have existed without Harrison.
And he was so different than anyone else, and he was confident about it. And I admire that. I admire the fact that he was able to be himself in no matter what, and he had fun. He said what he wanted, and he was confident, and he did what he loved, and I will always look up to that.
Yeah, his mind was just mind-blowing. Like, literally, it was... Oh, man. It just made me smile.
Because he didn't like small talk. And because of that, what he said was important. What he said was powerful. What he said was unintentionally funny.
And he was passionate about everything that he did. That's part of why he was always right. Be it music or math or physics or, the internet. He went full bore on whatever he chose to do. And I think that's what's gonna be the hardest to live without from here on out, is his constant presence.
It says things like, the thought of playing music without him terrifies me. He was my friend, and my brother, and my baseline. I still can't believe he's gone.
I was really happy when I got the job at Porter, and Harrison was a 7th grader. It's like, oh good, somebody I've seen, someone I know. And he and I would have these collegiate level music theory discussions, and I remember being so thankful that I got an A during undergrad, because he understood the subject to a high degree, and he was ready to roll. And he was 12.
And I will always cherish the memories I have with him, and I will always look back on the pictures, even if he's not smiling in them.
Because he really did do a lot for all of us, be it correcting us on solos in band, or talking about music theory, or math theory, or physics theory, or his Facebook presence that drown out anything you actually cared about in your newsfeed with, Harrison's silly posts and memes and stuff.
He seemed like an outside observer than anything else. As if he wasn't speaking from experience, but as if he was speaking about these terms that he learned in a textbook.
But most of all, I'm just so thankful that I got to know such a genuine person. Harrison was never anyone but himself.
I think Harrison knew about twice as many words as I did, which really frustrated me. And I always thought he was going to join speech and debate, and was very glad finally that he didn't, because I couldn't imagine anyone walking out of a debate event with Harrison in it alive.
His bari sax playing was... It's probably one of the most beautiful sounds you could ever hear.
Harrison cared about his friends. And I know I've said that before, but it was so true and so noticeable any time of day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you could message him and he would respond. He would respond, and it was obvious to tell in the conversation that his number one priority was making you feel better.
On one hand, I don't want to play music without him at all. And then, of course, I don't want to do anything but play music for him.
Because for someone who didn't ever seem to believe in anything, sometimes he had the most beautiful thoughts about everything.
He did so much for me, even though we kind of grew apart through the first years of high school. But when I transferred to Hellgate last year, he was like instantly, it's all back like we were friends in middle school and playing Dungeons and Dragons in someone's basement.
Could even begin to imagine how to be someone that wasn't him. There's just everything about him is like no one I've ever met, and it was just always so nice to be around someone who was just fine with being them and was gonna accept you for who you were.
That was Harrison. He just saw things differently than anyone else.
We talked every day in TOK when we talked about college. He'd always be like, "Oh, Haley, well, if you go to Ithaca, I'm applying to Cornell." And they're in the same town, they're in the same northern New York town, tiny town. And I'm like, "Oh my god, Harrison, we're gonna go to college together."
Every story about Harrison always ends so anticlimactically because he was such a large figure in everyone's life that he was a part of literally everything. So every Harrison story is just part of a larger story. Like, there was a day in class where Slater had us all sitting down, and Harrison went up to get a drink of water. So he's standing in the back of the room while everyone's sitting down, and one of the percussionists just sort of turns around and says, "Look at Harrison, all high and mighty." And he just takes his reed out of his mouth and says, "No, actually, I'm just tall." And that was it. No follow-up, no actual thought. Just no, actually. You're wrong.
Harrison will be deeply, deeply missed and remembered for as long as it is any of our choice to do so. I know that for a fact. And we've lost a very good friend more than anything.
I'm so grateful to have had Harrison in my life.
But I'm so thankful that I got to spend a part of my life with you because you changed it completely and you were such an enriching part of my life, and I will never forget you.
I think of him every day, and he's always there.
We're gonna miss him a lot, but we're not gonna forget him, so. 'Cause we just love him too much. Actually, not too much, just enough.